gun control bills were rushed through the legislature. I think 21 bills in the Assembly, 12 in the state Senate. And when I say rushed through, they weren't really rushed through. These bills had been prepared for years. And the left was just waiting for a tragedy to occur so they could rush through these bills and introduce them, and not to make anybody safer. And I recognize what was going on because when I was a student at Duke University in the late 1960s, early 1970s, we actually saw these professional, I don't want to call it left-wing communist techniques of how to take power. And what they would do, the radicals on campus would seize the administration building, and they would make a list of demands. And the administration would never meet the demands. And because the administration would not meet the demands, then all the other students would say, boy, the people run the college are so unfair, so unjust, and they would flock to the radicals of the left. As I got to know them better, I'd actually read the manuals they were handing out to each other. And those demands were written very carefully. They were written to put very reasonable things at the top, but the details would be very outrageous things. So what would happen is the general public would see this list of reasonable demands, but the administration but they were tailored so the administration could never meet them because they had all these details that were very outrageous. And so the whole purpose of the demonstration, to the average person, they thought, oh, these people have grievances, and the administration won't meet their reasonable grievances. But in reality, the radicals were looking for a confrontation. They wanted to be knocked down. They wanted to point out as this enemy who was not treating them fairly, and then increase their power, strength, and support. And when I saw how these gun law bills, or anti-gun bills, were crafted, they were really designed not to make a single person safer, but to make every law-abiding citizen who had a gun make it more expensive, more difficult, and really harassment, so that the laws would be so complicated that any lawful person trying to move his weapon from his house to the range, or to go get something to eat, or to go get gas, or go to the bathroom, there'd be such danger of accidentally tripping up on some technicality that the law-abiding citizen would be in prison for 5 years, while the criminal who is blatantly using a gun while doing a drug transaction, the gun charge is routinely plea bargained away. So here we have an unsafe society because the police and the prosecutors are not enforcing the laws we already have, but yet the left won't even mention that. What they did, they set up almost a show trial up in Trenton to make reasonable demands, and it was designed to do to force people, gun owners and ordinary citizens who believe in the Second Amendment, to go against this outrageous legislation, but it was all theater. Because what you saw on TV was, you saw children are being murdered, people are unsafe. We want to take reasonable steps to protect the children. And who doesn't care about our children? These old, white, violent, bigoted, angry men with the Tea Party, the Republicans, the Conservatives. And so what happened was we were caught in a catch-22. If we do nothing, then the Democrats and the radicals trample our rights. If we fight back, we're isolated as enemies and we strengthen our enemy. So either way we go, we can't win. And it only works when two things happen. When the media is so blatantly biased that if we would have a demonstration with 100,000 people in Trenton, the only coverage there would be, the reporters would look for two people in that 100,000 people who were racist or would make a bigoted remark and say, look at who's opposing this reasonable legislation. And meanwhile, if the left would have 5 people show up for a demonstration, they'd be getting they'd be on the front page of the press and things would go their way. So basically, Frank Fiamingo started by organizing people to testify at the Trenton hearings. And everything if you actually go to their website, the NJ2AS.com website, they actually have video of the testimony. very persuasive testimony of how all these laws were just a sham. But they never made it, those words were never covered by the press. All that got covered by the press were the grieving parents of Connecticut. So basically, Frank Fiamingo said he was going to have a major demonstration next Saturday, May 11th. He said, no, the demonstration's off. We can't, it's not effective. We've got to find a better way to fight back. And coincidentally, I think that my campaign against Christie in the June 4th primary election is the only effective way conservatives have to fight back right now. To vote for me on June 4th, to vote for Mary Beth Bennett on June 4th, if you're in Cumberland County or Buena Vista Township or Estill Manor, Bob Campbell on June 4th, and in Atlantic County, Joe McDevitt for Freehold.